How's it going, everybody? EK1 Gaming here, and welcome to a Diablo 4 video. Today's video, we're going to be showing you a Sorcerer build, which absolutely slaps. So if you want to be any high-end content solo or in a group, you're definitely going to want to check this build out and put it together. If you do need help getting any of the pieces in this build, join our Discord. We have got LFG groups in there. We're just building that up. As you know, we do many different games, but our primary focus now is to build up this Diablo community, make sure we've got a lot of people active, and we're going to help people through and get gear as well. We'll be giving away gear in the server. You can trade in there. There's trade channels. There's also LFGs, free carries, and when we're streaming as well, we're going to be bringing people into the streams to carry them through bosses and all different kinds of things to get you the best gear. We'll use our own mats as well for that. If you haven't got mats, don't worry. We've got you covered, and we're going to get you lots of good stuff. So without further ado, let's give you a little taste of what this build can do, and I'm going to show you exactly how it works in pits, how it works in high-end bosses, tier 8 hordes. It absolutely wrecks everything. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Be sure to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and let's get into the build. So let's get through the actual build itself. Let's go through the stats first. The first thing you're going to want to do is max out your resistances as much as possible. It's going to help you survive in the game. And then, of course, we're going to want some attack speed on here, 33.3%. If you get GA on some items, that will go higher. But, you know, you want to max a lowest of about 30% here. Crit strike chance. Now, you want this to sit at about 80+% when you're in battle. Now, how to check it when you're in battle is just by dodging. You'll see it went to 73. Mine is not maxed out, and I'll tell you how to get it maxed out and how I need to get mine maxed out when we go through the actual equipment itself. Crit damage, you want at least 2,000% here. If you're doing high-level content, you're going to want 2,000 crit damage because it's going to save you a lot of time. It's going to up that damage, as well as that crit chance here. You know, if that's at 80+%, you're really going to be laughing here. You're going to be critting quite a lot and get that crit damage extra there. Vulnerable damage, 241. We are going to be utilizing some vulnerable damage and damage with all these elements as well. Fire, lightning, and cold. We're going to be doing all three lots of those. So having a big boost on those damages is definitely worth it as well. Then damage with conjuration. You're going to get this from your amulet as well as some other little sections in your Paragon board. But make sure that's as high as possible. And then we have damage reduction. I've got that 51%. Some items that I've maxed out in my gear, which I'll show you in just a second. On top of that, movement speed. You want to get this maxed out at 200% when you're in battle. So when I dodge, I'm at 200% because now I'm in combat. So 200%, that's going to alter some of our damage numbers because it's going to be a percentage of our movement speed. So 200% is maximum. So we're definitely going to want to hit that 200% when we're in combat. Cooldown reductions as well, another huge thing. So make sure you get these cooldown reductions high as possible. You want it up as close to 75% as you can. I'll tell you where I'm missing cooldown reduction when we go through the build. So let's get into the actual build here. So the attack power, 13,600. That when I'm in combat, when I'm actually casting my conjuration skills, everything, that goes up to about 60,000. So don't worry about the low number here. Armor, 10,943. It's over what it should be, close to 9,230. better because that's the max. You just kind of wasted. But I'll tell you, I'm wasting on armor on my helmet here. I've got a GA armor, which I didn't really need. Max life, 17,000. Don't worry about the max life too much because we're going to have a barrier constantly. Basically, we're going to be barriered the whole time we're playing the game. So let's go through the actual gear itself then. So first off, we're using the Shaco or the Harlequin crest. This is a mythic unique, which you're going to be able to go and get from any kind of tormented bosses that you come across or you go and summon. So if you need help getting any of these items, I appreciate not everyone has the ability to go and do tormented bosses or has the materials, etc. to do it. We are going to be helping people. Go ahead and join our Discord server. There's LFGs in there. We're going to be pulling people out of there to come and play with us, me and my friends that I play the game with, to help you get these mythics with our materials as well. Also help you get the uniques like the winter glass, etc. So if you need anything, just go ahead to the Discord and make sure you follow us on Twitch because we're going to be streaming there where we're pulling people in from the chat and also the comment section in this video. So if you're watching this video on YouTube, comment below what you need, what you want to do, join our Discord, etc. And we'll pull people through and we'll bring them in with us and hopefully we can get you the gear that you need to do these builds. So on this max life, max resource, I got an armor GA. Realistically, the only thing you need here is the cooldown reduction. And in the skill tree, you'll see that all of the skills have 4 automatically on them. That's from this piece of gear here. So for me, cooldown reduction, masterwork 3 times in a row. Typically, it wasn't GA'd on cooldown because that would be ridiculous. But I was lucky to get it 3 times in a row on the masterwork. So try and get that if you don't have the GA on it as well. Even if you do have the GA, just go straight to cooldown, all 3 on the masterwork. With the gems we're using on all the armor are going to be the intelligence gems, not rubies, not for maximum life. We're going to get more intelligence, which is going to give us more skill damage and resistance to elements. The next one is another mythic unique, and that is Tyrell's Might. I got this GA'd on resistance to all elements. Ideally, again, I'd want damage reduction. So stack into damage reduction. I've got 2 rolled into damage reduction here, but ideally I would have had the 3rd masterwork in there as well, but I just wasn't fortunate enough. And we've spent a lot of Neath Iron recently. Then you're going to want the Stormswell Runic Gloves. So this is attack speed, crit chance, crit damage. You don't have to have that name for the gloves, but this crit strike, crit damage, and attack speed. On this one, you want to spec into masterwork and crit chance as much as you can, with a little bit of crit damage as well. So I've gone 2 damage, 1 chance. Ideally, I'd flip that and it would be 2 chance, 1 damage, but it's fine for now. I don't have to really worry about the crit damage for now because I'm over that 2,000 mark. Once I get a GA on these, so if I get a GA crit chance or crit damage, it'll be even better. So just watch out for a GA on those. And then also with the aspect that we're using here, you deal 30% increased damage to vulnerable while we have a barrier. We'll always have barrier and we'll always be making enemies vulnerable. For the pants, lots of people are going to complain and say in the comments below, you're not using Tybalt's Will. Why? Well, because we don't need to. We don't need that. We really don't. With this, I would rather have the Orange Herald aspect on, if I'm being all honest. And that gives us 10% chance to reduce cooldowns for ultimate skills by 2 seconds. You want to get that maxed out. It's quite easy to max out. You should drop a lot of stuff with this aspect on it. And you'll also notice I'm using Intelligence, Dexterity, Max Life. How have you got Intelligence and Dexterity? You're going to ask. Well, just send, before you do any tempering, before you do anything, send the item across to a rogue, roll Dexterity on it, and then you've got your Intelligence and Max Life with Dexterity as well. The reason for the Dexterity is it's going to give us crit chance. Once I've got my crit chance where I need it on the other items, I'll probably switch out that Dexterity for something else, and I'll update just in the comment section below what I put in there. But yeah, that's the reason behind the Dexterity, just for that crit chance. And then you're going to go Max Life, Lightning Spear, Lucky Hit chance on the Tempers as well. So make sure you get those Tempers correct. And then Esu's Heirloom Boots. I mean, there's nothing really to say here. 4GA. You don't need 4GA on this. It's not necessity. You want a GA on crit strike damage. All we're focusing on here is the crit strike damage. So max that crit strike damage out with the masterwork as well. I was lucky to get 2 into it. Couldn't get the 3rd into it. And like I say, the Neath Iron ridiculously spending now. I just really haven't had time to re-roll them again. So I will start re-rolling them. And then the bottom stat here, your critical strike chance is increased by a certain percentage of your movement speed bonus. So my movement speed bonus is quite high. I've only got 29% on that. You want that as close to 40 as you can. Really going to help you out. On the staff, the gems we're running are the crit strike damage, so put those gems on to get the extra 50% crit strike damage there. We're going to run intelligence, max life, crit damage. And then on the tempers, crit damage and chance for a second lightning spear. That's really important. The second lightning spear is really important. All our damage is coming from that lightning spear. So having a second is definitely going to help. So with this, you want to stack into crit damage. Ideally, all 3 masterworks into the 1 crit damage. But I've got them spread from 2. So 2 to 1. So it doesn't really matter as long as you're getting that crit damage masterwork done. Ideally, I'd have a GA in masterwork. GA in crit damage here as well. Which would help the build out a lot. So then for the main part of this build, the build will not work without this. I'll be honest, if you haven't got this, you hit me up in the DMs. I've got a couple in my stash we can give away to people. So just like I say, let me know in the comment section. There's people that want these, we can just give them away. We get them quite often. With the right GAs, it's hard to find. You want a 2 GA ideally with Conjuration cooldown and Conjuration Mastery. I've got 1 of each, so I'm a bit torn between the 2. But if I was going to pick 1 for doing high-end content, pits at high levels like 130, 125s, and then also tier 8 hordes and stuff like that, you really want to go for the Conjuration cooldown. You want that at least 0.7. So that's just masterwork it twice. Ideally, you want to masterwork it 3 times. If you don't get it the 3rd time, you want Conjuration Mastery on the next masterwork. I didn't get it, and I really cannot be bothered to re-roll it at the moment. I'm looking for a 2 GA, so if you know anyone selling one, let me know as well, because I will buy that off them. So for the ring, we're going to use 1 normal ring and then 1 unique. The normal ring, we're going attack speed, crit chance, crit damage. Again, you really want to max out the crit chance as much as you can here and crit damage. So try and get 2 into crit chance, 1 into damage, or even 2 into damage, 1 into crit chance if you've GA'd it like I have. Ideally, you'd have crit chance, crit damage GA on this ring. We're going to go lightning spear, cooldown reduction on the tempering, and critical strike damage on there as well. Just get them as high as you can without bricking the item. We're also using a skull on here, which is a wasted gem, really. You can use another diamond to try and really max out that resistance. Diamond or skull, it doesn't really matter, because we're over the armor cap anyway. We've got a diamond on our fractured winterglass just to put that resistance up. Then we're going to use the Tal Rasher's Iridescent Loop. Now, for this, the only thing we're really looking at is the cooldown reduction. Try and get GA cooldown reduction and non-physical damage if you can, like I have. But the cooldown reduction is the important one. Make sure you try and get 3 masterworks into it. I only got 2, so I'm a bit upset about that. But I'm not keeping this ring because of the bottom stat here. I've only got 10%, so it's the lowest stat I can have on that bottom aspect. For each elemental damage you deal, gain 10% increased damage for 4 seconds, up to 40%. I should be getting 20% increased damage for 4 seconds, up to 80%, you know. So that really is what I should be getting, but I'm not because I haven't got the good bottom stat. So I'm looking for a new one of these as well. We're going to quickly run through our skills and skill tree. Now, the skill tree and the Paragon, you're going to be able to see on the website, all the whole build, even with the stats that I need or stats that I have put on. They're going to be on the website. You just follow it along, so don't worry if you can't keep up here. I'm just going to fly through this. I'm not going to stop at every single one. But Firebolt twice just to get down to the next section. Then we're going to go into Chain Lightning here. And then Charge Bolts here. We're just going to put 1 into each of those. We're then going to put 5 into Teleport. Now, we don't put any into Flame Shield because our Harlequin Crest is actually activating it for us anyway. So we don't need to do that. We are using Flame Shield, but don't bother putting 1 in. 5 into Teleport because that's going to give us movement speed, damage reduction. And then we're going to go here and there. So Shimmering Teleport. Glass Cannon, really important. It's going to up our damage, but increase our incoming damage. So we deal 18% more damage, but we take 6% more damage. Don't worry about that. We're going to have barrier all the time. You will not die, or you should not die with this build, believe me. We should be barriered constantly. Then Ice Armor, just whack 1 into Ice Armor. We are going to be using that. And then it's going to also give us extra damage to chilled enemies and frozen enemies as well when we go through the board. Precision Magic, lucky hit chance increase, basically. Make sure we get as much lucky hit chance as we can on the skill board without having to spec it on our items. Again here, align the elements, damage reduction. We're just going to get that. And then protection, using a cooldown, grants 30% of your max life as a barrier for 3 seconds. So again, it's going to give us more barrier. So 1 into Ice Blades. I actually use Ice Blades instead of the Frozen Orbs sometimes. It's up to you if you want to do that or not. But I go Ice Blades and then Enhanced and then down to this one here. So the cooldown reduction is applied to other skills, which is absolutely fantastic. Then Lightning Spear, this is where all of our damage comes from. So you want to stack 1 into this. The only reason we're doing 1 into it is because 4 is coming from the helmet anyway. We don't need to go too much more than that. It doesn't go up by that much damage. If you look at the next rank, it's only going up by 4,000 damage. It's nothing really. It's not really worth it. So Enhanced Lightning Spear, and again, Lightning Spear stuns enemies. It just gives them that stun, you know, crowd controlling enemies, vulnerable stuns, stuff like that. It's going to help us get more damage on them. Conjuration Mastery, this is going to come from 3 that we put into it, and then the rest of it's going to be on your Winter Glass. So your Fractured Winter Glass is going to give you Conjuration Mastery. Again, you probably have that higher if you have 2 GAs on there, and also if you roll 1 Masterwork into it as well. Then Align the Elements, we've done that already. Protection, we've done that. So then go down to Icy Veil. Barriers have a 24% increased duration. We're always going to have barriers because we've got a lot of duration and a lot of barrier activating skills. So out of our skills, Lightning Spear is going to activate barrier, Teleport's going to activate barrier, Flame Shield and Ice Armor are all going to activate a barrier for us. So we should always have a barrier at all times. You'll see on that footage that we have. And then we've got Pyromancy skills, deal increased damage. Again, increase more damage if they're crowd controlled. So they are going to be crowd controlled because we're vulnerable, we're stunning. So we're going to be doing that, and we're going to be popping this Flame Shield here to you know, make sure they're on fire, and we're dealing more damage to them. Likewise, Static Discharge, critical strikes with shot skills have a 6% chance to form crackling energy. We're not speccing fully into it, but it's worth having a little bit of it at least. Then we go in Permafrost. This is the same as the Pyromancy basically, but for Frost. We're going to be chilling frozen enemies, and we're going to be doing more damage to them when they're frozen. So we're going to max those out. That here, Hoarfrost, and Permafrost, just put 1 into it as well, because Frost skills deal 5% increased damage to elites. Then we're going to go down to our ultimate Unstable Currents. This is what we're going to need to keep spamming when it comes back. Make sure you've always got this active as much as possible. We're just going to go into that once, and then into the next one down. You can only actually go into that once, but the next one down as well. So Unstable Currents increases your attack speed by 25% while active. Just helps us spam those frozen orbs, or spam the ice blades as well. So then we're going to go Coursing Currents, and then put 3 into Electrocution. So they deal less damage when they're electrocuted, and we're going to be popping this Lightning Spear like crazy, so the enemies are going to be doing a lot less damage. For the actual key passive here, a lot of people use Overflowing Energy. Don't do that. Use Vire's Mastery. It's so much better. You know, you become charged, take 25% less damage. You have 10% chance to cause damage to others as arc lightning damage, or if there's no other targets you hit. The target again for you can hit the same target again for 250%. Basically, a single target you're going to get 250%. Multiple targets is going to like split it out and do multiple damage. So definitely use this one. It really helps out because we're going to be damaging a lot of people at the same time. Now for the Paragon, again, the name of the boards and everything like that will be in the website link, which will be in the description below, which I'll put together. But to show you know today what the boards are called and what glyphs we use, I'll just go to one of the nodes. So check the node that I've gone to first, and then you'll know that's the board that you need when you flick through your boards. So the first one here is the first node is going to be non-physical damage. It's called Elementalist. Our glyph we're using is Flame Feeder. It's going to give us burning damage and even more burning damage. And then the nodes here again, non-physical damage, Intelligence. The second board, one of the nodes here is Smoldering Embers, damage reduction from burning enemies. And then we've got damage to burning enemies. Again, we're stacking up that damage. And the glyph we're using is Tactician, which gives us damage to burning enemies, reduction from burning enemies, and Intelligence. And then we deal 10% increased damage for 4 seconds after casting a defensive skill. So we're going to be doing that a lot. So Tactician on this one, get them all to level 21. The other node here, damage reduction from elites, which is important. We're going to want a lot of damage reduction. So the next board we're going to is Elemental Balance on the node, non-physical damage and intelligence. We've got Elementalist again, non-physical damage max life. And the actual glyph socket here is Elementalist, which is non-physical damage. And then dealing damage of like fire, cold, lightning damage increases all damage you deal, which we're going to be doing. Those 3 things we're going to be absolutely spamming for the damage. And then, of course, on here, non-physical damage and some damage to elites. If we go up, we've got on the glyph here, Charged, which is crackling enemy damage, and 5% increased damage when we pick up that crackling energy. There's going to be a lot drop. We're not speccing into it, but there's a lot of it that drops. Again, cold resistance, intelligence, crackling energy damage. We're going to go legendary node here, Frigid Fate, which gives us 60% damage to vulnerable enemies. So we're at 60%. We've maxed that out. And then, of course, vulnerable enemies as well, damage reduction, and then some vulnerable damage here as well, crackling energy damage here as well. So we're stacking around those, crowd controls, vulnerable, stun, and stuff like that. So definitely worth going. Then we're going to go to the next one. We're going to use the glyph Conjurer. Conjuring damage is our biggest thing. We're going to be using that lightning spear here, which is a conjuration skill. We're also going to be using Ice Blade, which again is a conjuration skill. And then the defensive skills we've got here that help the other board when we cast these. It gives us that buff as well. One of the notes here, Erudite, so resistance to all elements, intelligence, conjuration damage. The legendary one here is Elemental Summoner. Conjuration skills have a 10% reduced cooldown, which helps us get them back quicker. They also deal bonus damage to 10% of the total amount of your bonus damage with fire, lightning, and cold. So we're getting 60%. We've maxed that out as well, which is absolutely perfect. And then up here, attack speed, conjuration damage, and some more attack speed. Then the next one along here, we're going to be using Destruction, which is our crit damage. So you really want to get as much crit damage as you can. Like I say, 2,000 minimum. And then down the bottom, lightning damage. We're going into crit damage and lightning damage here. There is some more lightning damage there, but I'd rather just stick to this so we can get the next board, which is just here. The next board is Exploit, so vulnerable damage. We're going to make them vulnerable. We're going to be hitting them when they're making them vulnerable, stun, crowd controlled all the time. So definitely want some more vulnerable damage. And again, more fire damage and crit damage in the node here, which is Combustion. So that's the actual Paragon board, how it looks. I know this is just a brief, quick run through of the Paragon board and everything, but like I say, it will be on that link, so it's easier to follow along on the link. The skills we use are Lightning Spear, Teleport, Flame Shield, Ice Armor, Unstable Currents, and I use Ice Blades, but you might want to use Frozen Orb because we do have the Frozen Orb explode 2 additional times. Dealing more damage. I sometimes just mix it up because I'll be honest with you, I sometimes get bored of using the Frozen Orb because it's just like you spam it, there's no cooldown for it. And also I like the Ice Blades because they make enemies vulnerable for 2 seconds, so just gives us that damage increase with vulnerable damage, etc. So it's definitely worth having a flick between both of them. You just see which one you prefer to use all the time. On the enhancements, then on enchantments even, we're going to go for Firebolt. Direct damage from skills applies up to an additional 26% burning damage, so they're going to be burning. Then we've got that fire damage added on, and etc, etc. It bumps it up. And then Ice Blade enchantment as well. So every 40 seconds in cooldowns you spawn an Ice Blade on a random enemy. So it just really helps us out a lot. That does. It's definitely a good thing to have on the enchantment. So even if you're not using the Ice Blades here, still have that on the enchantments and use the Frozen Orb instead. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video and you enjoy the build as much as we are. Like I said, I can't keep saying it enough. If you need help, you need anything, go to our Discord, go to our Twitch, subscribe to us on here as well. We've also got TikTok. We'll be doing some short TikTok videos. But any help, go ahead. Discord's probably the best place. And, of course, the comment section of our videos and when we're live streaming. Take care, everybody. Stay safe. And we will see you in the next video.